I'm Sara Ann Combes, and graduated in 1955.
I'm Norma Haynes, graduated in 1955.
I'm Jackie Thompson Binion, and I graduated in 1955.
I'm Pat Wall Brown. I graduated in 1955.
All right, tell me some of the activities you ladies were involved in when you were in high school.
So, trying to think. Even the classes.
Or just clubs or sports or anything like that?
There's the N Club, right? The
You
N Club,
went-
but that was the,
You were involved in Tri-High Y, weren't you?
yes, try.
Glee
I
Club.
had forgotten some of this. And what?
Glee Club?
No, it was not in the Glee Club. I couldn't even be in that
I was
today.
in Cleveland.
I can't think of any more.
I just remember the Tri-High Y Club, and I was the manager of the basketball team, and I kept score for the men's basketball team, and that, I loved doing those kind of things.
Did y'all play in the old gym, or what we call the old gym
We
now?
played over in Wesley Street.
Oh, you played at Wesley
Gym-
Street.
Gym over there, and it was a dungeon downstairs, but we had some good times, and we were right there with them when they played. We were right practically on the floor with them, and we behaved most of the time, we behaved. We didn't give the teachers any trouble, but I kept score for the men and, for the boys' team, and then I was manager of the girls' team, so.
Okay.
And was that in ninth grade, 10th grade,
That was through high school.
all through high school?
Mhm.
Well, I was a member of the Tri-High Y, and I played in the band one year, my freshman year. And I wasn't too musically inclined, so I didn't last very long.
What instrument did you play?
I played all the percussion. Do I look like a drummer? I did have rhythm there. I had rhythm there.
That counts.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm having a hard time remembering.
Pat, you were editor of our yearbook.
Yeah, I was editor of Tiger Tracks. I was editor of the yearbook, Tri-High Y, Beta Club, Glee
Beta Club.
Club. What'd you say?
We were all in Beta Club.
Yeah, Beta Club. One of the fun things that I did was I was a member of a trio, and we sang, well, gosh, we sang at graduation.
Two sharps and a flat.
Two sharps and a flat. That was me, Lynn McDonald, Peggy Johnson. And then we sang for all the civic clubs. They needed somebody easy to come in and entertain. We did it. But that was fun.
And you played ukuleles.
And yeah, we even played ukulele. We even had a dance routine we did with our songs. Let's see, what else? I was not at all athletic. So nothing there.
You were the salutatorian.
Yeah, I was salutatorian of the graduating class. And my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, Lauren Brown, excuse me, was salutatorian of her graduating class from Newnan High School. And don't ask me what year, because I don't remember.
All right, well, let's start with here and go back that way. Do you remember any specific teachers while you were here that made an impact one way or the other on your life?
Well, I love Miss Bonner. Miss Bonner was home ec. She was such a neat lady. Miss Wumble, Louise Wumble, was math.
And she
Mariella
wore high heels.
Camp, there would never be another one like Mariella Camp. They were all special. Of course, Coach Shifley, Coach Harrison, they made a big difference, I think, to every child in the school. Even though I was not directly involved in sports, they also taught, and they had a major impact. Gosh, there's so many. I love Miss Evans. Miss Evans was librarian. What else?
All right, how about you?
The first one that comes to mind would be Sally Bowen.
Oh,
She was the
Sally.
most respected lady in the community, in the school, and in the church. And she would pick us up in the summer and teach us tennis, and we could call her Sally, but she let us know right quick when we got to the classroom, she was Miss Sally. And she took on a different personality, but she, along with Mr. Evans, were the fairest people to work with. I mean, they would never show any partiality. I don't care if this person was right, they were all right. They really had a special way. And of course, Mariella Camp, she was literature and English, and she acted out Macbeth. She would fall all over the front of the classroom, have a yardstick, and pretended she was being stabbed and fall against. I mean, she was hilarious, but she made you learn it. To today, I bet some of us could recite a lot of it.
And I bet you we all know how to do correct thank you notes.
Yes, we know how to write a letter.
All right, Ms. Hayes?
Well, I was crazy about all the ones that they mentioned, but one of my things, I loved Mr. Willie Gunn. He was the science teacher. But I'd signed up for biology, and I went to a few classes of biology, and we had to go to the cemetery and pick up some grasshoppers, those big black grasshoppers, and bring them back to the biology lab, and we were going to dissect them. And I had that class right before lunch. And so we went to the cemetery. I brought in my grasshopper. We pinned him down and cut him open, and all that stuff came out. And when it did, then we had to go to the cafeteria, and we had prune whip. And so I never again went back into biology class. I went straight on to, and got another class going. I was able to do that. My other thing was I worked in the library with Ms. Evans, and I adored Ms. Evans. But she checked every book that was turned in, and you better not turn down a page. You paid for it if you did, and we were not allowed to wear bracelets in there because we would scratch.
I remember that.
I remember
We would
that.
scratch the tables, and Ms. Evans ran a
Tight
show.
ship.
I mean, she did, but she was great. And Mr. Evans was one of my favorite people. I even helped out in the office with him. And I remember him coming on the loudspeaker telling us there will be no touching in our halls. So we could not touch a boy in the hall. If we were seen, we went to Mr. Drake's office, not just Mr. Evans. But they were, like Jackie said, they were the fairest, and we had good discipline, and we didn't have any problems much in this school.
We didn't have any problems, not at all.
That I know
I
of.
know it. I was gonna say that about Mrs. Evans, you know, you could not wear a bracelet
Mhm.
like this because it would scratch the table.
That's right.
I know. And we were all sort of scared of her, at least I was. I don't know about anybody else, but I was in Mr. Gunn's homeroom, and I can remember the boys would go over to where they kept snakes, pull them up and do like that, you know. I hated that, but just got to me. But then they put him back. Mr. Gunn would come in. He was a nice, really nice man. I enjoyed his class.
Yeah, he was over here just a few weeks ago,
Was he
visiting
really?
with our students. Yep, he's a World War II vet.
Love to see him again, you know.
Yep,
Really nice man.
probably doesn't look any different.
Coach Shifley was one of the, I just loved him, and I love him to this day. I still correspond with him, but he had a ring, and he turned that ring, a class ring, and turn around, and if you didn't do what he said, he'd pop you on the head with that ring. And also, he'd throw a book at you if you.
And he threw a ruler at me one day,
I mean,
yardstick.
he didn't mind a bit throwing something at you. You told the line when you were in Coach
He
Shifley's
taught
class.
algebra,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which one, algebra 2?
1 and 2.
And he had the problem on this board and on this board. When he got over here, he said, does anyone not understand this? And I said, back on this board, he took a yardstick and slung it, and I slid under the desk, and he said, now do you understand it? I said, yeah.
I don't remember that one. I must not been back then.
Didn't he throw a book one time?
He threw a
At
book.
Shelby.
Yeah, I do
One
remember
time.
that.
Yeah, because Shelby was over there looking out the window or something and not paying attention, so.
But
he
what's
got
so
his attention.
amazing is you still loved them.
Yeah, he really
Absolutely,
did.
absolutely.
Yeah, I liked him too.
Yep. All right, did Newnan High School provide you with any opportunities that may have affected you later in life? What did y'all do after you left high school? Let's start right here this time.
I went to what was GSCW down in Milledgeville. It was a girls' school then. And I guess I went there because all my friends went there. And we were sweet mates, and
Yes,
there
we
was
were.
Sarah and I was sweet mates, and we had 4 girls in that area. And, you know, because we've got such good training here, you know, college was not that hard. Because, in my senior year, I never took home a book. And but 3 years I crammed, I studied. In my senior year, I knew I wanted to enjoy it, and I never had to really study. But if you do your background early, then you can do that. I attribute the easy school, and it was not an easy school, but it was easy for us because we had such good training here. And whatever the teachers expected of us, we never resented anything. We always respected them. And I look back now, and the ones that I love the most are the ones that made me toe the line.
Ms. Haynes?
We didn't have any, we did not have any parent involvement at the time, because if you got corrected in school, you gonna get it worse when you got home. So you wanted to be sure that it never got to your mother or daddy what you had done in school if you had misbehaved. And one teacher we had that I just loved was Miss Carrie Mae McElroy, and I just loved her. She taught French, but I was in her class one day, and if you went out in the hall or you wanted to go to another room, they wrote out a pink slip, and they would put on there to excuse you to go to such and such a class room, and you gave that to the teacher. And one day I wanted to see somebody in another class, and I asked Miss Carrie Mae if I could be excused. And so she wrote on that pink slip, "Please excuse Norma Chapman to make a nuisance of herself." And I've still got that pink slip Miss Carrie Mae wrote on. But she was, you know, it's interesting because most of our teachers, our female teachers, were not married.
That's
They
true.
were not married, and they dressed so nicely in their high heels and their suits and their clothes. And I mean, you looked at them and you knew you had a figure to respect. You knew they expected respect, and you gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Miss Rumble, when she would walk down the hall. She was sort of short and a little pudgy, I guess, but she would wear heels about like this, and you could always see her walking down the hall.
Yeah.
You just got a picture of that. But who was the teacher that put powder all over her? What was her name? You know, she just
That
spelled-
was really,
she was English, I think.
wasn't that Lillian McDonald?
Huh? Who?
Wasn't that Miss McDonald, Lillian McDonald?
She was always
I can't
dolling up
remember.
in class.
Yes, always, yeah.
At her
And always
desk.
had a lot of makeup on, and she just smelled like powder. She just walked by and you could smell powder in the whole class.
All right.
Oh, you asked if there was anything in particular that the school prepared me for. I like what some have already said about the respect for authority. I think because it was done in such a way that it was so fair, you know, there was nothing unequal about it. That part, I like the idea that some of the teachers that I had in school became my friends later on. Well, for instance, Marie Evans. We were all a little bit scared of Miss Evans because she ran a tight ship. But later on, I was church treasurer at our church, and Marie came in as assistant, and we worked together, and we became really good friends. Same with Norman Harrison. Got to the point that Norman would come up from Florida and spend the weekend with my husband and go fishing. They were just good people. I would like to think that we have the same thing now, but I don't know that. And I do like the point raised that our parents expected us to behave at school, and you did not want to get in trouble at school and then have a note sent home.
All right, what other stories have you got that are fond recollections, perhaps? Ms. Haynes, we'll start with you at this point. I know you've already given us some from different aspects, but what else maybe we haven't hit that you never will forget?
Well, we didn't have proms. We didn't have a senior prom. We had a junior-senior picnic, and we would go down to Callaway Gardens on our junior-senior picnic, and that was during the day, and all the teachers went with us, and we just had a good time with the teachers. They would let themselves enjoy being with us and not be the teachers and all. And one thing, we didn't have any drinking, so to speak, as we were growing up. I mean, that was just unheard of. There wasn't, but I do know that when we graduated, we had a graduation party at a home on Roscoe Road of one of the boys who graduated with us. And I never will forget, we were all so excited. We had finally made it, and had graduated, and there was one boy who brought a beer. And we said, "Ooh, no, he didn't do that." Well, we shamed him, so he hid it under a Nandina bush right outside the front door. And that was the end of his drinking and the end of us worrying about him drinking. So I do remember that.
Oh, I remember that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the teachers, I know I really enjoyed Miss Varner's class, and she was a home economics teacher. She also taught my mother, and my mother made.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, and my mother made all of my clothes just exactly like Miss Varner taught us. So I enjoyed her class.
Wow. All right.
Gosh, I'm having a hard time coming up with anything. I remember a lot of fun times. Norma said we didn't have a senior prom, but we used to have a lot of parties, and they were proms. But we would all go in a group most of the time, and then go out to the country club and go out back and do the mandatory prom, and then come back inside. I remember a lot of parties with, at night with dances. I remember our senior year, it was constant parties. Because back then, they did the Coca-Cola party, the luncheons. We went to probably 5 parties a week.
In the Elks Club, we used to go there on Friday night. They would,
Yeah.
After a
after a
football game.
football game, they would let all the young people come to the Elks Club and dance.
Yeah, I had forgotten that.
But we didn't
remember
have to
the
worry
light
about
ball went
drinking,
around.
and we didn't have to, we came along before drugs, and I think drugs have been the downfall of teenagers. And we didn't have that to contend with, and if we had, I don't know what I would have done, you never know.
No, you don't.
But we came along it's such a good time. Our fun was just like in the movies.
It really was, it really was.
We did have dances at the country club.
Yeah.
We had the band dance, remember, every year? There was the band dance. And you had to be invited to it, I think. I don't think everybody went.
Well, the Key Club had a dance.
Was it the
Always
Key
had-
Club?
They always had a dance too. But then we'd go, after a football game, we'd go to Robinson House.
That's
And
right.
they would come out and they'd put the tray on you, on the edge of your car, on your car window. And then you would order a Coca-Cola and a hamburger, and they'd bring it out to you, and we'd sit there and have that.
Talk back and forth with
Each other. And then we went to the drive-in.
Oh,
That's
gosh,
right.
yes,
How many
the drive-in.
times did some of the folks get in the trunk so they didn't have to pay till they got there? And Mr. Barber, Haskell Barber, was the policeman, and he'd come look in your window to be sure you're behaving yourself.
And knocked on the window.
Yeah, if you caught you holding hands.
That's right.
Was this the drive-in on 29?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. Mhm.
I've heard about it.
And a time or two, we drove off with the speaker still in the door, so that was always kind of a bad thing, bad thing.
All right. What about you?
They covered so many of the fun times. I do remember so many times going to Callaway's for some reason. That stands out when you were dating Sam.
Yeah,
And a crowd of us would go down there and spend the whole day just doing innocent things. And it was just such a, we would never call down for anything. I remember you with your boyfriend at the time. And I look back now, and I think the young people would think we were silly
Mhm.
because we had such innocent fun, but they don't know how much fun we had.
We'd also go over to the swimming pool,
yeah.
And
Taking
shag.
street food.
but we wouldn't go in the water. We would stand around in our bathing suits and dance to the jukebox.
And Sally Boyd would take us over there and teach us on that one little tennis
That
court.
little
There
tennis
wasn't
court
tennis
behind the
court.
swimming pool.
That's
Willie Gunn.
Sally would pick us
Good
up,
work.
take us over there for tennis lessons. But she was silent when she did that.
But she made it clear when we got in her Latin class, or whatever class we
Yeah.
were in, I am Miss Bowen to you, or Miss Sally, and we respected that, so. But, you know, another thing about the swimming pool, it was where everybody gathered. You did that in the summer, but in the winter, we go to the Alamo Picture Show on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And I had to do housework before I was allowed to go, but we'd meet at 10 o'clock. It's 12 cents to get in, and we'd see they have a cartoon, they had previews, they had a travel log and a cowboy movie.
And
we all-
newsreel.
And a newsreel, and we all looked forward to doing that. What popcorn
There
was,
was popcorn, a big, a stack of, about like that, I guess it was a dime. And I think all the candy bars was probably a nickel.
And the Cokes were
And
nickel.
so- And the Cokes were a
and you
nickel.
tried to get in after 12, up to 12, it was 12 cents, and after that, it was 25 cents.
Yeah.
So you tried to tell them when you were 13, I'm just 12, I'm just 12, you know, and they never did ask for anything, any identification, you didn't have to give
And then
identification.
we go to the gym theater after that, which was down the street in the same block, and then over to White's Drugstore, or Lee King,
Or McCall's.
yeah, and have a hot dog, and then call our parents to come get us.
That's right.
That was our Saturday.
Do you remember like Lash LaRue and some of those cowboys that would be in person at the movies? Do you remember? I
Yeah.
should say the show, not the movies.
I
Lash
think I
LaRue,
do.
remember
I
that?
think I do.
And maybe Johnny McBrown or,
Yeah.
y'all remember that?
Well, it wasn't movies, it was picture show.
Yeah, I meant the picture show.
Going to the picture show.
That's right.
And one other thing, we were not allowed to wear blue jeans except on Saturdays. We could only wear jeans on Saturdays.
Mhm.
And we wore skirts to school. There wasn't any such thing as ever wearing a pair of shorts.
Mhm.
Oh, no, we could never wear.
Or slacks.
No, you just wore a skirt or a dress. So.
You wore a skirt or dress every day to school?
Every day to school. And first day of school, we always had a new plaid dress, and we wore saddle locks for the penny loafers.
Mhm.
You always got a new pair of shoes for the first of school. And so penny loafers, and we had socks, and we wore pearls sometimes, and those collars and sweaters. We'd wear a cardigan sweater and button it down the back and wear our pearls. We dressed up to come to school, didn't we?
We did.
Well, that, and when we got older, when I was a senior in high school, I would go, and y'all did too, would go to college football games or college dances. And when you went, you wore a suit, a hat, and gloves.
That's right. And to the ball game, you wore a big corsage.
And a big corsage, right?
A mum,
You know, we sound so old-fashioned.
ancient.
Yeah, ancient. But I wish that my children and my grandchildren could have experienced that. I feel so sorry for them in so many ways, because now with the easy accessibility and acceptance of drinking alcohol, using drugs, it's too much for them. We didn't have that. We did not have that temptation. And I don't know what we would have done if we had.